Welcome back to the Walking Trophy podcast, everybody. So today's guest is somebody that the moment we connected, I immediately knew. I was like, oh, yes, this woman is going on the podcast. So we connected through a mutual program. This is how we met each other. And then when we started to get to know each other, started having conversations, this is when I realized that the work that this woman is bringing forward, it's not just a conversation that needs to be brought forward on this podcast. It's a conversation that I genuinely, with my full heart, know needs to be brought forward on a global scale. So I'm hyping her up. But before me, I have Miss B. She is from Spain and has spent 15 years in sales. And her goal is that she wants women around the world in business to be able to use their voice when they're selling and really lean into how they feel while they're doing it. So by using their voice, they're allowing themselves to be fully expressed in their brand. And then this is what is allowing them to get paid. She wants them to stop fighting for attention, but instead become a woman that naturally has it and knows how to hold it. You guys can already tell how juicy this conversation is going to be. So she wants their sales to become effortless and more seductive. This is the conversation topic that I absolutely can't wait to dive into. And then it will help them make more money, create more impact, and have more recognition than ever. So without further ado, Miss B, welcome to the Walking Trophy podcast.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited for this conversation.
I really can't wait. So I was, of course, doing my little stalker skills beforehand to get to know her. And something that I love that you talk about, we're going to throw it right back to you as a kid to start with. You said that as a kid, you always had this natural curiosity and that you were very outspoken. And I would love to know, and inside Little B's mind here, did you find you've always had this voice that wanted to come out of you? Or do you feel like that's something you really developed throughout your childhood years?
That's interesting. I guess it's like 50-50
Hmm.
because for the majority of my life, I always felt like I was so timid, like introverted. I wasn't the cool kids. But then at some point in time, like, I don't know, something happened. And I guess I just became like more courageous. I went abroad. So I had to really put myself out there. And I think that's where, like, really that part of myself came out. And that's where I started feeling like, okay, I have things to say. When I say things, people listen.
Mm.
And like the way that I process thoughts or whatever, it's different and it hits people differently. So I need to use my voice even if it gets me in trouble sometimes.
That's actually exactly what I was going to ask you. Did you find as you started to bring your voice forward that you would get some backlash or you would get some kickback from it? Like, was everybody always open to receiving it, or did you have to kind of face some uncomfortable situations?
Yes, especially at work, but even at my personal life, sometimes people think like, oh, she's a woman, like she's very empathetic, like she's cute, she's nice, so she's not gonna be very straightforward. But then there you have it. There you have me like so straightforward and to the point, and I might be quiet, but then I say something like very direct, and you don't see it coming, and people sometimes they are like, oh wow. So yes, it happens.
I love that because, again, you don't often see that coming from women. And I do believe more women are finding their voice, which is incredible. It's exactly what we want. But to be immediately presumed a bit more docile, a bit more, won't will bite her tongue more. And then you come forward with this very straightforward communication. It's like a pattern disruption that, people aren't always sure how to respond to, right? And so
Yeah,
with that,
exactly.
it requires a certain level of bravery and being okay with breaking the status quo of how a woman is perceived. So in overcoming that barrier, do you feel like it has been a journey of liberation to discover this, or has it been a difficult journey getting to the point where you can really use your voice?
Well, there has been times that maybe I wasn't feeling too confident, and so it was harder. to use my voice, and probably I was shrinking in some situations. But other times when I'm feeling better about myself, like I'm feeling like really confident, is like, no, this is not gonna happen. And I am not afraid to say what I think or to stand behind myself. But I mean, I'm not always perfect. So obviously, there are times if I'm not feeling like very good that day, I might be like, oh, a little bit more softy. But I think it happens to everyone. So,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And so that actually the ability to use your voice brings me right into my next question because I know that you have a background in corporate. So you
Mhm.
worked in was it medical sales for a while?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, can you give us a little bit of background on your experience? Because I know you had a bit of a turbulent experience through this job path and through working in corporate, and then what it taught you about yourself as you became a top sales representative and found yourself in a couple different companies while you were doing it.
Yeah, well, I never thought I was gonna work in sales. Like, I have a background in science, so I'm a bit of a geek. Like I said, I always saw myself as an introverted, so I just wanted to be like at the lab doing experiments. But through university, I just started working in sales. And somehow, years later, I thought, okay, if I don't want to do research anymore, so what could I do? And that's where my background in science made sense in pharmaceutical sales. And I mean, at the beginning, it wasn't easy. I was like so scared having to go see the doctors, and I felt very shy. But then I just started like putting myself out there. And I mean, it's just practice. And it's true that for the majority of those years, like it's been 11 years, it was very easy. It came to be like very easy to me because I had good products. I was very passionate about it. I just had a really good relationship with clients. I had very good clients. I also had bad ones, but the majority were good. And everything felt like, oh, this is so easy. It's so easy for me. Everything's good. I'm making my sales. I mean, it felt like no effort. I was just having fun. And then, like you said, I came to be like in very like harder situations. I just kept scaling the ladder, changing positions, and I just landed in companies that they weren't so probably open minded, or they had other values or views, and then I didn't belong anymore. And that's where being myself started being a problem,
Mm,
and that has been like harsh, to be honest.
yeah. Yeah, well, it's interesting because it seems as though you being able to be vocal about your values and what's important to you is what led to disagreements that put you into a decision of no longer, working for a company. And I think in general as a human, that's a difficult challenge to be facing, but as a woman, to be able to stand 10 toes down and say, I disagree, I don't align with this. I mean, that there is an exceptional amount of will in knowing who you are and what you stand for that you have to be so certain of to be able to be in those situations. And so, when you were working for these companies where you weren't aligned or your values weren't aligned and you guys ended up parting ways, like how how did you find that confidence and that bravery and the ability to keep your light really shining, even though those around you may have wanted to dim it a bit?
I mean, it wasn't always easy, to be honest. I guess I'm kind of like a rebel. So even if I try to hide it and I try to play the part, at the end, the truth comes out for me. And it's just if I'm trying to be someone that I'm not, it's not going to work. And that's what happened. I tried to meet their standards and it didn't work. Um, but it didn't feel good for me. Like after the fact, I realized how much that made me change how I was actually behaving in other areas of my life. because I was really feeling like, okay, maybe I'm too much. I'm saying inappropriate things. Um, I'm bothering like the big bosses. They are not taking in consideration my opinions because they think um, I'm not like really invested in the job. Just those things that you might think. So it actually really affected me. Like I don't want to say it was easy because I felt, well, maybe before it was just easy. I wasn't good. It was just easy. And now that is not easy anymore, I'm not good.
Mm,
That's what it came through my mind. And even if I talked about it like so many times with my therapist, it took me like long time to get over it. It was like really stuck in deep down in my head that I wasn't good anymore. Like
yeah.
I had lost my magic or something.
Mm. I actually really appreciate you sharing the vulnerable side of this because you're right. From the outside, I'm like, wow, she stuck it to the man. And you did. And you did. And there was still an entire aspect of you needing to reconcile your identity and knowing who you are. And I think the duality of that, experiencing I can stick up for myself and I'm going to have to navigate this challenge. I think that's a really important conversation because oftentimes the hero is depicted as being just brave, right? Just doing the thing they have to do. But there is the entire aspect of we're still complex humans and we still have to navigate this world in the identity that we've created. And so
Yeah.
something that I heard you saying that is it's a very common topic of conversation that I love to bring forward in my work is you realized that there was going to be a lot of discomfort in creating and getting closer to, whatever that next life milestone is, whatever that next chapter brings for you. And so you had said, you're like, yeah, maybe it was just easy. Maybe I just liked it while it was easy. But as it turns out, you've you've really created this incredible, I'm going to call it like a dynasty of work because of what you're bringing forward. You've created this unbelievable body of work and so much revelation about yourself because you didn't do the easy thing. You did the uncomfortable thing and you stuck to your guns. And so how do you feel like your relationship with being uncomfortable, with doing difficult things, with doing the thing that might have more resistance, even though there's an easier path, but the path of more resistance is going to lead to where you're going. How has your relationship with being uncomfortable evolved over time? Or where is it today?
I think I'm more comfortable now with being uncomfortable. If that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yes.
Like I've realized that if you want to grow, you need to challenge yourself. Like growth doesn't ever come from doing the same thing over and over again. And when you are someone that you want more, you probably need to not doing more, but you probably need to put yourself in situations that require more of you. So you grow to become that person.
I love that. So
Yeah.
it's, getting to meet yourself on the other side of the challenge, right?
Yeah. Well, I think just creating a business, there are a few things in life that are very challenging, like for your identity. Probably being a parent is one of those. I don't know myself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but then building a business, I think it's such a journey of development and personal growth. Like you need to really know yourself, and even if you don't want to get to know yourself, if you want to go far, you will face yourself, like for sure.
Yes, you will. I've been having that conversation with a lot of people recently, actually, where starting a business is the most radical form of therapy because you will have to face every every limiting belief you have ever had about yourself. So let's actually transition into that because obviously you transitioned out of corporate, out of
Mhm.
working for somebody else and into creating your own line of work. So what made that decision for you? How did you come into the realization of I think I think I need to start my own line of work?
I I don't know. I guess it was something in my head for years because even when I was being very happy with my career and everything, I always had this thing like I would have conversation with friends and the topic would came up in the conversation and I would be like, oh, let's create something together. Let's create a business like a side hustle or something. I don't know, maybe I was afraid of doing anything myself. Like my idea of businesses was very maybe outdated, like traditional business, I guess. And at some point in time, I was just like, I don't know. I don't know if I like this life anymore. Like waking up and going to a job that doesn't light me up anymore and having someone tell me when I can get vacation. Like I was struggling a lot with that. And then I don't know, I just fell out of love from what I was doing. And I thought, okay, there has to be more. There has to be more that I can do, like more good somewhere else.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And so when you thought about the concept of creating more good in the world, creating more impact, however that looks for you, did you have something on your heart where you said, oh, like if I could create this type of impact in the world, it would be really fulfilling? Like, did you have a mission that you knew you wanted to create?
Yes, I have actually a couple of things. Like one is the main of my business. When I came online, I started seeing how women they struggle with sales. Like we have this misconception that you need to be a certain way. There is still like a lot of bro marketing and bro rules going around. And I thought, okay, if I can translate the passion that I used to have and my own take of making sales and change how women do it and how they feel, that's gonna be like amazing worldwide, right?
Yeah.
But then I had a realization. Actually, it was this summer. I was traveling through the Philippines with my partner, and we love to get lost with locals and just have
Wow.
conversations. And they normally bring us to the less touristy places and things like that. So we always get like great experiences. And we had two experiences, and we met like a really young girl that she had like a beautiful English, and then we met a really old lady, and she also had like beautiful English too. And I was thinking like, even if I become a billionaire, like I wouldn't change this.
Mm.
But what I would like to do, like for example, with this girl, she was like 14 or 15. She wanted to go to university and earn good money to give money to her family and her brothers and sisters. And I was like, wouldn't it be amazing to have like a foundation or something? So I could tell her, hey, just keep going to school. When you need to go to university, just send me an email, and it doesn't matter what you want to study or where you want to study in the world, the foundation is going to cover this for you. And I started thinking about it and playing with the idea. Wouldn't it be amazing to help just random women around the world, like, and impact them like locally so they can change their communities too?
Wow.
I don't know. This was just very recent, but it's one of the things that I always thought like, of course I want money, but what would I do with that money? I would probably do a lot of these things. And then because I'm a diver, I love to dive. I would also love to help with like projects for cleaning the ocean and getting all the waste out of the sea and everything. So there are like a few projects I would like to make like come to life, to be honest.
Oh, I love that. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why the money in the hands of women is going to change the
Yes.
world, I swear. Because the question that consciously, subconsciously asked yourself, of course, I've always wanted a lot of money. What would I do with it? I really believe that conversation is coming forward in a really big way in the online coaching space. And it's so important
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, money's a number, and it's what can you create with that money that really it drives humans, obviously the business owner, it drives people to want to create more money. I also believe it plays a big role in why people want to invest in others is because they can connect to their heart. Like even me right now hearing you say that is I was like, wow, that is a woman on fire right there. Like that is a woman that wants to change the world and it's beautiful. It's amazing. And I think it's really cool that this came about from your travels.
Yes.
So is travel you said traveling something you and your partner do quite a bit?
Yes, yes, and we love to travel through Asia a lot because there are like amazing diving places, and most of
Mm.
our trips are always around diving. So we always do like at least like one big trip per year, but honestly, I would love to do more. So that's why
Yeah.
I have my business.
I love it. And I think it's really cool too that you have that focus on you love to meet the locals and
Yes.
actually integrate with the humans that live there, right? So, do you feel like your experiences of these travels and of meeting these locals in different communities, do you feel like that has influenced you in any way to, whether it's the way you want to lead your life, whether it's the way you want to create change, whether it's, even leading to you wanting a business? What impact has traveling and meeting local communities and people around the world played in your mindset and the way you live your life?
It has changed like everything. No, not only traveling, but I've been lucky enough to live abroad, like 1 year in Canada and 4 years in Switzerland.
Mm.
And just being abroad and with other cultures, even if it's like European or Occidental cultures, it changes you. Like you understand human beings another way. But especially when you are traveling to those countries, people they are just so happy with so little. You see that like their courage every day, and they don't have much, but they get by, right? So it gives you the like it helps you appreciate life, and it helps you appreciate like where you are born, like all the
Mhm.
chances that you have that we take for granted.
Oh,
That's a huge
absolutely.
thing, and it also gives you lots of perspective, like from the world in general, and from like politics and everything that is happening around. It gives you lots of perspective of what's really important in life.
Mm, absolutely.
Yeah.
Were you traveling at the point when you were still working in corporate?
Yeah, but always like only 3, 4 weeks per year, like
Mm.
no more. I would always argue with my boss because maybe I want, like, they would tell me you can only travel from like July to September. And I wanted to travel maybe in October or November because the weather was better.
Yeah.
It was always an argument.
That's so interesting. So, did having these traveling experiences while you work in corporate, did that influence you in any way to shift into being an entrepreneur?
I'm sure it did. Like, whenever I went away, not at the beginning, but the last 2 years, whenever I went away and I came back, I was like, life, you know? Like, of course, I don't want to be traveling all the time either because my family is here and it's good to be home. But just being away and not even looking at my phone for 3 weeks, it was like therapeutic, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is those moments of immersion and maybe like de-immersion from the world you're used to, and then immersion into just being so present where your feet are. That it's important. It's important in the world that we live in today in a way that, I believe everyone needs to experience personally. So during any of these travels, did you meet anybody or have any experiences that ended up shaping the work that you do today? Because I know you work with a lot of the feminine and the feminine energy, and we'll get to that in a moment for sure, because I have so many questions for you on that. But did you have any experiences while you were traveling where it made you really connect to femininity, to energy, to roots as a woman?
Yes. Well, like I told you, these two experiences in the Philippines, they really impacted me. For example, this old lady, like she started telling us like how she has like 6 children, how they are like grown ups and they live in the big city,
Mm.
and still goes to the woods and cuts her own like wood started for the fire, and she walks I don't know how many kilometers per day, and she was like 70.
Oh my gosh.
It was just amazing, and how she was like, well, life has changed, and I understand my kids are busy with their jobs and families. So I just try to be independent, and I don't have anyone to dance with anymore, but I dance every day with myself.
Oh my god.
Like she was just such a joy to talk with her. I don't know how long we were talking with her. But it's true that one of the biggest experiences that I've had traveling is that I actually did the crazy idea of doing a road trip on my own in Jordan.
Woo!
Yeah, like everyone thought I was like insane and crazy, but Jordan is true is like a Muslim country, but it has nothing to do with any other countries. It's very like it's different. And I've met like so many people that they did road trips on their own, so I knew it was safe. And I had been wanting to go for such a long time, but it wasn't happening because it was never the right time to go with anyone. And I just thought, okay, I'm gonna go on my own.
Oh.
And I went for 10 days and I did the whole country north to south. And it was really amazing just being on my own. I actually bought a camera and a tripod, and I would spend like hours just making pictures of myself, of whatever I was visiting, and just being around and talking with like people, and people, they are so nice and welcoming. And it was such an amazing experience because I love the country, but just being on my own and going to lunch for my own, and like wake up every day and have my plan and go to the next place and things like that. And I did every activity that I wanted to do. And it was also so therapeutic because it was like huge self love moment like all the time for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Had you spent much time alone before this experience?
mm, well, yeah, I mean, for my job, so many times I have to have lunch alone, for example. And at some point in time, I was working as a manager and I was traveling around Spain all the time, and I was traveling alone. And also every time that I went and back from Switzerland, and I guess in Switzerland I was like alone, I made friends, but I didn't have family. And I've never had like really big group of friends, so I don't have problems like being alone. I never, well, I'm not gonna say never, right? But I don't feel lonely often. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I know you'd mentioned, you were introverted earlier, and, sometimes that helps, but even still, an introvert does often want company, and again, just being a woman alone in these environments, like, sometimes you can feel the eyes. You feel the eyes on
Yeah.
you being like, "Is she alone? Is nobody joining her for dinner tonight?" Or whatever it is. So, with all that time by yourself, getting to know yourself, traveling, going through a country that you had never been to before?
No, never been.
Yeah, never been before. I did a 10-day road trip across the whole country. It's amazing. I think that's so cool. I imagine a lot of revelations about yourself come forward because there's so much internal dialogue and thoughts coming forward. What do you feel like were some, one or even a couple of revelations that you learned about getting to know yourself through this experience?
Well, I've learned that I'm quite a brave person, even if sometimes I feel afraid. Um, but then I also learned like it doesn't matter if I set my head into something, like I know I'm gonna get it, and I know I'm gonna figure it out. Maybe I will be lost, but at some point in time, I'm gonna figure it out. So, and also the fact like I'm not afraid of being alone. That also gives you like a lot of power, and being good with just being with your head and being with yourself. But probably it gave me like so much courage, because the more that you do like scary things, and the more that you put yourself in situations that are not normal, the bigger like you get and your confidence grows. And yeah, I lost my train of thought here.
Honestly, what you just dropped was absolute gold because often, I talk about winning all the time. I talk about the winner's mentality, being a champion. This is literally the Walking Trophy podcast. And everything you just said is the true characteristics of a winner is it might be scary, you act anyway. Like you are brave. It is learning to become a greater version of yourself through taking the risky action, the scary action, and just being okay with adapting to what you're faced with. And so it's incredible. And so, from the solo trip, from all of the travels, everything, learning about who you really are at your roots, how has that impacted coming back, if you will, into regular life and taking risky actions? Like, do you even look at a scary decision the same way anymore?
No, I don't think so. Like, for example, deciding to go into a podcast tour, it was just something that happened, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago. And I thought, like, why not? And I just started putting myself out there. And it's like, I don't care if people think I'm crazy, or I don't care if people say no. I'm just going to do it. And here we are.
Yeah. And let me tell you, this podcast is really happy you stopped by because this conversation's important. And I need the listeners to really hear it and to process it, like really digest everything that you're saying. And as we transition into what you create in this world, how your background has led to you being the woman that has created seductive sales. I would actually love to ask you about that because I think claiming seductive sales and helping women express themselves through sales is, to me, it's so empowering because you hear the word seductive and it used to have a connotation of, you know, uh, the men controlled the narrative, like, oh, seductive. They had this dark energy around it, and we're reclaiming it as women, like, damn right I'm seductive. Like, damn right I can embrace this sexuality, this power in whatever way it comes forward. And I believe that women coming in and reclaiming their power in this narrative it's the essence of being a woman. It's that
Yeah.
feminine power. I think it's so important. And so how did seductive sales come into your world? How did you get into this work?
It wasn't obvious at first time, but I guess that I thought, okay, I'm moving away from corporate. I don't want my business to be like my corporate job. I don't want it to be as serious. I don't want it to be as stiff. And even if I was being myself at my corporate job, I was still like dressing properly, taking care of my language, looking good, but not too good, because obviously clients might take it their own way if you are very nice and you look good and you're dressed in a certain way. So I just thought, okay, I want to do something different because we are all tired of all the sales tactics, that's bro marketing that is out there. And I just thought, like, when I see a woman that is very empowered, that they are really themselves and they build something like important, they are making money, I just feel like it's so sexy. Like, I see women in that power and it's like, wow, it's for me, it's really like amazing, so sexy. So I thought, how can we make sales like more sexy for women, like more seductive? So it's more playful. And because it's all about how you feel when you do it, I made the connection that if you are feeling confident, if you are feeling sexy in yourself, those sales, like the way you sell, is gonna be more seductive. Like, that was the true line, like the connection. So it wasn't about the sales, it was more about the women selling and how she was feeling about it. So I don't want to say it was more like on feminine energy or like an embodiment work, but it is. It is. It wasn't my idea, but that's what it came to be.
Right. That's what you've embraced it as, right?
Yeah.
And so, did you have a good background knowledge in anything around feminine energy beforehand, or do you feel like you've learned that as you were getting into the selective sales world?
I've learned that as I'm going, just reading here and there. It's true. I always tell this story. It sounds so like icky, to be honest, but at one point in time, my therapist gave me a list of words, and she told me, give these words to your family, friends, whatever, so they find the words that really define you.
Mm.
And my mom, she picked like a bunch of words, and one of them was sensual. And I thought a little bit like, oh my God, my mom thinks I'm very sensual. Like, that's kind of funny, right? But that's what I thought. Like, okay, even if I'm shy sometimes, if I'm not the center of attention, I have this thing around me that people get really attracted to, and it's not about the looks. It's like how confident I am on myself, especially when I speak. So that's also how it came to be. And then I started just reading or working with coaches more on that I found were really sexy, and their work were around shadow work or feminine embodiment. Um, yeah, I've also done like bachata, kizomba. Like I've been really into dancing, and those dances are very feminine also, and they make you feel like really good about yourself. So that's how it came out to be. But I didn't have like experience or anything.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. You kind of co-created or co-understood the feminine energy with the seductive sales. And I mean, you might have just answered this, but I would love to hear it. Did you feel sexy in your own skin before you went on this journey? Or do you feel like this has been you discovering your sexy side?
It's been me discovering my sexy side again, because
Again, okay.
yeah, because like I told you before, these experiences at my job, I don't know. I guess it was meant to happen, but it really messed with my confidence a lot. And in the
Mm.
last 2 years, I wasn't really feeling myself. I wasn't feeling as strong. I was very like dysregulated, and I didn't know what was happening. I wasn't feeling myself at all. So it's been a journey, like building this business and finding this destiny like legacy that I'm trying to build. But it was more like a journey of self discover, of going back to myself again.
That's incredible. I
Yeah.
think that's an important message too for people to receive. Even me, I'm completely nodding along with this too, because it's it's the power, at least in the woman in front of me today, it is the power that I feel like you really exude. You really exude this incredible energy. Like when we speak, even on camera, like I mean, I could feel it. And so to hear that this is something that you were able to co-create, you know? Like, it's something that you were able to dive into and to create this identity, this woman to, like you said, rediscover her. Like, it's not like she wasn't here, but she had to be brought back forward. And I love that you talked about dance and how, moving your body in this way has helped connect you to this identity. So can you even speak a little bit further on, like, how this physical expression, this dance has helped build up your identity and in what ways that it has?
Well, I'm not dancing at the moment. I just dance at my house, but it's
Love
true
it.
that
That counts.
it's true that these dances, you need like a lot of body control and body awareness. Not only yours, but body like the awareness of the body of your partner, right? Because you need to kind of understand how the movement is created by making a connection with the other person.
Mm.
So it really makes you aware of yourself, and when you start improving and all of the sudden you are able to do like more crazy things or more advanced things, it makes you feel like really confident,
Mm.
and it makes you feel good because the whole purpose of the dance is kind of for the women to show off a little bit, right? So at the moment, I'm not dancing anymore, but it's true that I do like to put music, and I have like this curated list of like sexy music. I actually got this from one of the coaches I work with like last summer or so. and she has done like a lot of work with feminine embodiment, and she has this list, and she does like early in the morning she dances in front of the mirror, and she kind of challenged me like, try to take a selfie whenever you see a mirror, try to dance to yourself, like look at yourself in the eyes and dance sexy. And at the beginning you're like so embarrassed.
I
it's
was gonna
so
ask if it felt awkward at first.
it's so awkward when you are like,
Yeah.
I'm going to seduce myself. But then it's actually quite of fun, and you realize that you have much more movement in your body that is wanting to come out than you realize. So, I mean, I think it's essential. It changes. It changes how you feel about yourself, and whenever you put something cute, you feel differently. So everything adds up, and then when you go to sell, you feel more confident, you have another energy, so everything is connected.
That's incredible. So are those practices that you keep in your daily life to help you get into the energy of, the seductive woman while you're selling?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So is that some of the work that you do with your clients?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to do it, I'm not going to force you to do it,
Yeah.
but of course, it's always the type of work that I encourage, just letting your body loose. And I mean, this is not something that I have thought about much, but I would love to actually create kind of like my own, I don't want to say like dance style, but kind of have like a practice or something that if in a couple of months I have like my retreat there's going to be some type of like dancing involved where there is like a lot of body expression and things like that. And I don't know, it's something I'm exploring. It just came to me the other day that it would be amazing to have in a retreat or in experience.
I am so excited for the day that comes forward. Please keep me posted because this is so important. So obviously, I love how in tandem our work is because obviously I'm, teaching women how to have the power and the strength and the grit through their bodies. And then in the exact same breath, you're teaching women like get in touch with your feminine, with your sexy side, with your innate movement. Like you're teaching women how to connect with who they are on the deepest level through movement. And that is the power of the body. And our body does help us build our identity in such a deep, integral way. And so something that you had mentioned to me, and I'd never heard this before, and I am a girl that has done her research on the vagus nerve. I'm a big vagus nerve fan. I used to work for, neurologists. Love the vagus nerve. You told me something I'd never heard before, which was the connection between the womb and the throat and the way the vagal nerve plays a role here. I would love if you could talk about that and how it helps women truly liberate their expression because this was game changing for me.
Yeah, actually, I just found a picture through Instagram, or I don't really remember. I was just scrolling, and I found this picture. It was it was a picture in the profile of a coach that she was teaching tantra, and the picture it was like the throat and the vagina side to side, and they look like so similar. It could be like the same thing. So I started reading, and they actually had like same embryological origin. So it means like your vocal cords and your ovaries, they have like the same origin before the cell divides and creates like the vocal cords and the ovaries.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's insane. And like the throat and the vagina is the same space and has similar muscles and whatnot. So that's why for women it's so important to use their voice. So I started reading, and I looked for this information, and it's true that it's very spoken like in tantra environments, but they always talk about it in a way, like for example, and I don't know if I'm allowed to speak
Please,
like this
there's
today.
nothing off topic. You're good.
Okay, like I was reading, this explains why maybe you're with a guy and if things are getting spicy and you are motivated and you are like yes, and all of the sudden there is something that doesn't feel good, but you are not able to say hey stop. Like it feels like your throat, it closes and you're not able to say it. Like there is nothing wrong, but just something is off and you don't want to keep going. And that's
Oh my
because the vagina collapses kind of, and it sends a message with the vagal nerve to the throat. I hope I'm like explaining this correctly, but that's what
yeah.
I read. And then the throat collapses too. And that's why it's hard to say no in that moment. And that's why sometimes we drive guys crazy, because 1 minute ago it was a yes and all of a sudden it's a no. But that's why it's especially important to use your voice. And
Wow.
everything is always talk like in terms of like sexual blogs and things like that. And that's where I thought, what if I bring this but like the other way around? So if you are not connected to your feminine energy, if you are not connected to your body, your womb space, your throat is not going to open, and that's why you're not going to able to express yourself, and that's going to impact your sales. Like that was my connection. Like now I understand so many things, because men, they are confident and they feel powerful. They don't need to feel attractive, they don't need to feel sexy. Like they could be like really fat or whatever. They don't care. If they are confident, it's because they are powerful. But
Oh my
women, when we are confident, we normally, it means that we feel good in our body and we feel sexy. So that's also a difference between men and women that to me is very obvious. And that's why it also came to be like seductive sales, because you need to be very grounded in yourself, in your body. You need to feel confident, so that allows you to use your voice. I mean, everything is connected.
My mind is so blown right now. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. It's like how uh in the physiology world and the exercise science world, not a lot of studies have been done on women, but a lot of studies have been done on men. And so a lot of our health protocols are based upon,
Yes.
the what we really know about men. But now, finally, as women are able to get into the research field, we're getting more data about women and we're discovering how women's bodies work in a different way and how there's different health considerations for women.
Yeah.
And this is such that connection immediately came to my mind because now we're saying that for since the dawn of time in the business world, it's been male dominated and it's
Yes.
been the bro culture. And now we have women actually understanding how the female body and the female energy and the female system works. And that right there gets to create a liberation in the way a woman leads her business and sells.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The only thing I would add is that uh, we have done things originally from like a men's points of view. So there is this narrative about like women being all soft and airy fairy. And I mean, if you are soft and airy fairy, fantastic. But not all women are like that. And personally, I see like women and we are just so freaking Wonder Womans.
Right?
And really, when a woman is in her power, she's like so powerful. I don't see her as soft or whatever. So I'm not afraid to put in the work. That's why I was working in sales. Like I'm not afraid of putting in the work and go and make money. But then I can get home and just let my partner cook dinner for me, and that's being in my feminine. But I don't need to be soft to be in my power. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I'm so glad you just said that because that's also something I've been expressing a lot and I've been even, sharing a lot of content on that recently. And it's been amazing because I completely agree with you in everything you just said. Like I think a woman in her power is a fucking force of nature. Like
Yeah,
there's this
exactly.
one is unbeatable and getting to communicate it in a way where like I love the way you just said that. You're like if you are a woman, in her soft energy, fantastic. We love that. And if you're a woman in your like powerful, dominating energy, yes, we love that too. And I think respecting the different journey that, different women get to go on. That's something that I personally, as I've been communicating this message, have been, trying to maneuver that conversation. And I really love the way you just put that. And I'm so happy you just brought that up because even like especially actually someone like you who is so in her like sexy seductive energy and is a powerhouse, like a force to be reckoned with. You're saying the same thing and it makes me so happy. Like can be a sexy woman and be bulldozing in the industry and come home and kick your feet up and just
Relax.
relax. So powerful. I'm so happy you just brought that forward. If you can't tell, I'm like, yes, keep
Yeah.
talking about that. More women need to hear that. And I would love to hear your perspective on hustle culture and hustle culture for a man versus hustle culture for a woman, if they're the same thing, and what your perspective on really like gritting through and working really hard for an outcome is.
Well, I think we need to redefine the concept of hustle here because, for example, I'm gonna give you this example. My boyfriend, he hates his job, but he's very good at it. So he's able to do his job even if he hates it.
Hmm.
But I'm not like that. I need to love it. I need to be passionate about it. And if I'm passionate about something, I don't care to be working 12 hours every day. And I think that's the key difference there. I mean, this is generalization, but probably men and like that hustle culture, it happened because they are more able to do whatever it takes, even if they don't like it. Maybe they don't need to feel fulfilled. They are not emotional about it. It's different. Maybe it's changing because men are becoming like also more in touch with their emotions, but I think that's a pretty general idea that it's good. But women, we need a purpose. We have our feelings, we have our days where like we want to create that impact. We need to feel like we belong somewhere. We are doing something that is meaningful. So that's the difference. For me, hustle is when I'm doing something, it doesn't matter if it's just like 5 hours every day. If I'm doing something that I don't like, it's gonna feel like horrible. Like in my last job, normally I would be home, like I would start working at 8, I would be home at like 3 or 4, so not much, not much. But for me, waking up every day to go and do that job, I mean, it felt like the heaviest thing in the world. Like for me, that was hustle because it was really hard.
Yeah.
But the thing is that normally people think like hustle because you are doing too much or you are spending many hours. And you have to understand that there are periods in your life, especially if you are ambitious and you want to grow your business and you are scaling or you are starting, when you are going to have to work more. And that's not the problem. Working more is not the problem. It's being aligned with what you are doing. I think that's the difference. It's like going to the gym if you hate it. 1 hour is going to feel like 10. But if
Yeah.
you really like sports, you're going to go to the gym, you're going to go swimming, running, get your bike at the weekends, and you're going to be like this huge sporty person because you loved it.
That is going to be the sound clip from this episode. That's so important. Oh my God. That is so important. The entire concept or the conversation around the way you define hustle culture, the way your passion and energy are aligned with it, and then how you're able to show up as a result. That conversation freaking matters. I'm
Yeah.
so glad you just brought that forward. So then, have you ever had experience with somebody, or maybe if you haven't, how would you take someone that maybe doesn't feel passionate about sales for whatever reason? Maybe they're scared, maybe they feel like it's icky, whatever blocks they have coming up. How would you help someone create a system where they feel really sexy as they're selling, even if they have those limitation or limiting beliefs around sales?
Well, everything always starts on the inside. So I would be curious to know, like, what limiting beliefs they have around sales. Like, why do they think that? Maybe it's something connected with like a money issue growing
Mm.
up. You never know. Or like a visibility issue because they were bullied when they were little. So there are some things that we can work, and I would always try to make it fun for them. So if you don't want to do a sales call, don't do it. I'm not going to tell you to do it. But if you tell me that you feel it's aligned for your business, we're going to try to make it work for you and make it work in a way that it's fun. Like I don't ever want to say to someone, okay, you need to do this and this is the only way. Let's find the way that works for you and feels good for you. But also, I'm going to say that at the end of the day, you need to go through it and you need to go and sell. And if you're very passionate about what you're doing, you're going to get over it. And it's going to feel awkward at the beginning, but do it every day for a month and it's going to be so easy. So that's the part that I'm not going to be able to do for them. So it's up to them to actually go and sell their offers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can tell you firsthand today after this call and I go about selling the program I just dropped, I'm gonna be looking myself in the mirror and I'm gonna be doing some dancing because I think that is so powerful and I can't wait to put this into practice. I only have a couple questions left for you because we have somehow managed to just talk about so many things over the course of an hour. It's
I
insane.
know.
But something that I am so in love with is actually your profile icon on Instagram. It's you with the tape across your mouth.
Yeah.
And it said, does it say expression?
No, attention.
Attention. That's what it is. Can you describe that photo to me? What inspired that? Because I love it.
Yeah, it was actually my mentor's idea a little bit, but I always talk about like there's this conditioning about using your voice, and that could like it happens in culture, maybe in your family, maybe in the work environment. So it was like, okay, let's do something disruptive. What's the opposite of actually using your voice, like not being able to use it, right? And then the attention, it was a little bit like these people that you don't know why they just enter a room and people are drawn to them somehow. And maybe they are quiet. They could even be at the back, but then they raise their hand, they say something, and everyone is like, and they get all the attention without having to force it. So it was like playing a little bit with the fact that it feels sometimes very heavy on online because it feels like you need to be fighting for attention. Like you have the algorithm and maybe not the right people are seeing your profile, and so let's do something like the opposite. Let's become the woman that just naturally has attention without needing to perform or become someone that you're not or needing to be like louder, you know? So it was the whole idea behind it. And then I decided to spice it up, just being like naked. So
Yeah.
without clothes or anything. So I thought it was like very raw.
Oh, my God, that's so good. I mean, it's funny because that picture did exactly what it was intended to. Because the second I saw it, I was like, "Who is this?" You know, my attention was immediately drawn to it, and that's incredible. That's being a disruptor, right? That's being a disruptor to the space, and it's just it was great. I love that that is the story behind it because it's doing its job.
Yeah.
So, I will give you one more question on
Okay.
probably will be one of the best interviews that I've ever been a part of because this conversation's been so good. But I would love to know, in your world, what does winning look like to you?
Oh, that's a hard question.
Yeah, an easy question to end with, right?
I mean, I'm just gonna say when you're like so aligned with
Mm.
what you're doing and you feel like that peace and extreme happiness, that's like okay, you're winning. But
I love
but also it feels like you're cheating at life, right?
it. Yes. Yes, it does. It's like, "Oh, does it get to be this good?" Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I love that.
Yeah,
True,
it's
true
not it's
alignment.
not so, I mean, it's not I was gonna say it's not anything on the outside, but I guess living the lifestyle that you want is winning. That's for sure. But it has to be something on the inside that if the lifestyle disappears, you're still gonna be happy about it, you know?
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And that is that identity alignment, that bringing the passion in. I mean, it's everything that you talked about
Yeah.
and putting that together. Like that's winning. And so to me, I see that and I'm like, oh, you're so aligned with your work on the deepest levels. You're so aligned with your work, and being in the energy of somebody like that is it's special. And so before you head out of here, I would love if you could tell people where to find you, if you have anything coming out that they should keep their eyes on, where they can get in contact with you, any way that they can stay in your world. Go ahead, shout it out.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok and on Threads, and I have the same name everywhere. It's Bea Lopez, so it's easy to find me. And at the moment, like you can work one to one with me. And I will be launching very soon the attention mini mind, which is going to be like 3 weeks working on that inside work that we are talking about, then bringing everything outside into your brand, and then creating more conversions in your sales when you build that attention. So that's coming out probably March. I don't have a date yet, but that's what I'm working on. And I'm also working on this podcast tour that I'm doing, having so much
Yes.
fun.
The attention mini mind, that sounds amazing. I can't wait to hear his details come out about that. Um, this has been a gift to have this conversation. I had
Yes.
my mind blown in ways I actually didn't expect at all. I didn't think I would have from hosting the podcast. Like, absolutely just empowered the living fuck out of me, this podcast, honestly. And
I'm
this is probably
happy.
one I will be listening to on repeat. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate this in more ways than I can even express. And girl, I cannot wait to see what comes out of you because I feel like you are just getting started and we're
Yes.
about to take over this thing. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much for having me. And you can have me anytime you want.
I think we will be having a second conversation.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Amazing. Oh my God. Thank you.